Welcome to Brood Tales of History. Find your favorite armchair and let the gentle hum of history's deepest secrets fill your cup. Tonight, we share the true story of a woman whose courage was so dazzling, it defied belief, a woman who earned the title of the real-life 007, Christine Granville. The real-life James Bond was not a man, but a woman named Krystyna Skarbek. Born into Polish aristocracy in 1908, Krystyna was anything but a fragile noblewoman. She possessed a fiery intelligence, an insatiable thirst for adventure, and a fierce, almost reckless love for her country. From a young age, her resilience was evident, surviving a bout of tuberculosis and transforming into an expert skier and mountaineer in the high Tatras skills that would later become crucial tools for espionage. When the storm of World War II broke and Hitler's forces swept through Poland, Krystyna found herself in London. She knew immediately that she could not sit idly by. She presented herself to the British Secret Intelligence Service, or SIS, offering her life, her linguistic skills, and her intimate knowledge of the Polish landscape. Her conviction was so absolute that, despite the initial skepticism toward a woman in such a dangerous field, she was quickly accepted. She became one of the first and longest-serving female agents for the Special Operations Executive, or SO, Britain's secret army of spies. Her initial missions were audacious. Using her familiarity with the mountainous Polish border, she smuggled intelligence and vital equipment across the dangerous, snow-covered paths. She acted as a vital link between the Polish resistance and London, carrying microfilm and information hidden inside her skiing gloves. The mountain passes, usually reserved for quiet hikes, became silent battlegrounds where one wrong step meant capture or death. During this time, she faced her first true test. When detained by Hungarian officials, she convinced them she was dying of an infectious disease by deliberately biting her tongue until she bled, buying her the freedom to escape and continue her work. But perhaps Krystyne's most legendary exploit occurred in August 1944 inches the south of France, working under the alias Pauline Armand. She learned that her colleague and lover, Francis Kamars, along with a fellow agent, was captured by the Gestapo and scheduled for immediate execution. The situation was hopeless. They were held in the secure fortress of Digne, guarded by heavily armed German soldiers, and the local resistance had been neutralized. Krystyne, alone, devised a plan rooted in pure theatrical audacity. She marched directly to the Gestapo headquarters in Digne, presented herself to the commander, and announced she was a British agent and the relative of a high-ranking British general. Her confidence was absolute, her French flawless, and her manner aristocratic. She spun a terrifying tale that the Allied forces were about to launch a massive assault on the region and that the Gestapo commander would be the first one hanged as a war criminal unless he released her captured colleagues immediately. The commander, already reeling from the collapsing front lines and fearing the sudden presence of a British agent, wavered. The stakes were astronomical. Krystyne offered a ransom of 2 million francs, not as a bribe, but as compensation for the risk he was taking. She stood there, beautiful and utterly fearless, holding the fate of her friends and perhaps the commander's own life in her gaze. Within hours, through sheer bluff and terrifying nerve, the two captured men were released. The entire mission was a triumph of the human will over overwhelming odds. After the war, the real-life super spy, now officially known as Christine Granville, found herself in a world that no longer had a desperate need for her particular brand of courage. This post-war adjustment proved to be the invisible war that she could not conquer. The adrenaline-fueled life of danger, where every moment held ultimate purpose, was replaced by civilian mundanity. The psychological shift was immense. How do you transition from saving lives in the shadows to simply waiting for a bus? Her bravery, once a tool of survival, became an anchor dragging her down in the shallow waters of peacetime. Her medals, including the George Medal and the French Croix de Guerre, were a testament to her heroism. But the peace felt strangely hollow. She worked odd jobs, struggling to find the sense of purpose that had defined her existence. Her end was tragically quiet and utterly senseless, a dark paradox to her spectacular life. In 1952, she was murdered by a ship steward in a London hotel, a man obsessed with her who could not accept her rejection. The woman who had repeatedly stared down the Gestapo, who had cheated death by inches in the mountains and across enemy lines, met her end in an ordinary domestic crime. It was a cruel twist of fate that the most spectacular life in the shadows was extinguished by the most mundane of jealousies. Tonight, we remember Christine Granville, not for her tragic end, but for the impossible way she chose to live. Her story, whispered across the decades, reminds us that the greatest bravery often wears the most unexpected mask. She remains one of history's most compelling figures, a true legend of courage, hidden beneath the elegant disguise of a woman simply passing by. Tell us in the comments, what drove Christine Granville patriotism or a thirst for adventure? Keep questioning everything.